Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is the day before U.S. Thanksgiving. That's right, Peter. There is just one day until one of the more important days on the hockey calendar. One day till U.S. Thanksgiving.
It's a weird time of the NHL season because we're coming off a day in which there were no games last night, not a single game on the schedule. And now we're going into, I believe, 14 games tonight. And a big day, obviously. Like, if you're trying to get yourself in playoff position to help those percentages be in your favor, we all know, I mean, do you have the percentages at?
Yes. So historically, we lightly, or at least I have been, kind of doing a little tongue-in-cheek mocking of the U.S. Thanksgiving thing, because that's a tale as old as time. If you're an NHL fan, you know forever people say you want to be in playoff position by U.S. Thanksgiving.
80% of the time.
They always say a different number.
Yeah.
They're always like, and as we all know, 75% of the as we all know, 95% of the teams. Here's what I can give you. And I have gone back and looked at certain years and all these things. Last year, 13 of the 16 teams that were in playoff position on November 24th, which was U.S. Thanksgiving in 2022, made the playoffs. We'll talk about those teams in a second, and we'll talk about this year's teams in a second. But it all serves to tell you, even if it's not a guarantee, even if it doesn't lock you into the playoffs, because there are things like points per game versus how many actual real points you have. You could have games in hand and all these things. But you make as many jokes as you want, it does paint a more accurate than you would think picture of what the playoffs will look like.
Yeah, like with it being this early, you like to think that right now we are early in the season, but a month and a half can tell you a lot. Like, it's told us that the Oilers fucking suck. So, like, there are strong indications. Obviously, like you said, it's not a guarantee that you're going to make it or not going to make it, but those percentages, the numbers may change. They're always pretty high. The percentage of teams that will make the playoffs based off of where they are at Thanksgiving remain pretty high.
We're going to go through the East and the West of this year's teams and look at each playoff picture, which teams should figure to stay and which ones are obvious to drop out. I do think that there's more obvious teams to fall out of it in the East this year than there are in the West. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's do a little history lesson, though, just to show that we're not being wise guys when we spend time on the U.S. Thanksgiving thing. As I said, 13 of 16 teams from last year made it, ended up making the playoffs. Sean, you want to toss those up? You had the Bruins had 34 points at Thanksgiving last year, which is outrageous. They obviously had the greatest regular season ever, but the only team of the 8 in the Eastern Conference to not make it was the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Florida Panthers, who did make it, were only 2 points behind them. So this shit was kind of airtight.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the Bruins being ridiculous with 34 points. They have a chance to enter into this U.S. Thanksgiving with 31 points.
I know.
Which is also ridiculous.
But don't they already do have... No, they have 29.
They have 29, yeah. I mean, I think... It's so the Flyers didn't make it from last year, the only team in that group that didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a pretty good idea of the picture. I do think there's a bit more in flux this year.
Big time.
Like, there have been some unpredictable or unforeseen hot starts by some teams that I don't necessarily think are going to hold. So 13 out of 16 made it last year. we're going to go through the list of teams.
Let's do West
but,
first. Let's get to
okay,
because we got a whole other conference.
But that's East and West. 13 out of 16 made it. Correct.
Yes. Yeah. So one changed in the East, and the West was more fun last year with the variants because the Blues, and we'll see if the stupid schedule today fucks it up, but the Blues also in playoff position the day before U.S. Thanksgiving. But last year, the Blues were in playoff position. The Flames were in playoff position, which is funny to say because you talk about what a tire fire season it was. They were in playoff position, but again, look at the teams, Pete, that ended up making it. They were tied for or 1 point out of a playoff spot last year. The Oilers ended up getting in there, but they had 20 points. The Blues, who were in the playoffs at the time, had 20 points. So even the teams last year that made it were right there.
Yeah.
They were like completely knocking on the door. And that, I think, will help inform the conversation for this year, especially once we get to the West and you see that some of the teams that would like to get in are not 1 point behind, are not tied. They're like 8 points behind.
I mean, it also helps paint the picture as to like why we've spent so much time already this season freaking out about the Edmonton Oilers. Not to keep going back to the Oilers, but like we've spent so much time talking about them. And you can say, like, stop freaking out about the Oilers. It's super early in the season. They're in a big hole right now, and they need to do a lot to climb out of it. And if you look at the standings, like, they are far away from being in a playoff position right now.
So let's look at the current Eastern Conference standings. One day, again, it is not yet U.S. Thanksgiving. Gary Bettman and his woke lamestream media had to have a bunch of games on Wednesday night instead of Tuesday night.
He'd rather be playing games in Sweden than playing games in the United States on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Total cock. Just don't. I don't know what any of these words mean, by the way. I just know that when you're mad at something now, you're supposed to say lamestream media.
Yeah.
And you're
Gary Bettman is a chud.
Yeah, no, I do know what chud. Chud just means anybody you don't like, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I like Gary Bettman personally. I prefer the fake Gary Bettman from the 2023 film Blackberry, if you've seen that.
That's true. I
would like to get him on the
I'm a big fan. Gary Bettman's like a bad dog. I've been using this analogy
Great
a lot.
analogy, yeah.
Gary Bettman's like a bad dog. He's still a dog, so you kind of love him. You love all dogs, but like you wish that he wouldn't do so much dumb shit and make you hate him half the time. So that's what Gary Bettman is to me. He's a bad dog.
Gary Bettman. So I agree with this more about another person that you said that we won't say right now, because Gary Bettman has bad owners. Gary Bettman does stuff that like the owners.
Name one bad owner.
Are you?
Sean is on his game
on
today.
YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube if you hadn't.
Yes, if you're listening on podcast right now, you just missed an incredible work of production.
Not a joke, though.
By Sean.
A real picture.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, Eastern Conference right now, as I said, this one has a few more teams where you're like, maybe they fall out of it. Bruins, again, chasing that President's Trophy. It always does them so well. And Detroit, I'm kind of bummed isn't in the mix right now because I feel like given their start, they deserve to be one of the U.S. Thanksgiving teams that could fall out of it.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're audio only right now, Boston, Florida, Toronto in the Atlantic Division, the Rangers, Flyers, and Capitals in the Metro, and then the two wild cards as of right now, Tampa Bay and Carolina are the 8 teams.
Everybody had Carolina as a wild card team this year.
For sure, yes.
And then the questions from there are, who falls out of it? I think we all agree Philadelphia, again, probably. Washington, probably. Shout out Washington, though, being in the mix. Good for them. We have noted that the Flyers have played more games than a lot of teams, right? They're at 18. They're at 18, which isn't so bad. Some teams have played 18, 19. Which of the teams that aren't in it right now? And I think the main ones are the Penguins and the Devils. The other ones I'd put in that conversation would be the Islanders and
Red Wings.
the who? Red Wings, you'd say? Sabres still, I think, maybe-ish have a chance, but which teams that aren't in it right now do you think end up making it?
Aren't in it right now. I say absolutely the Devils. The Devils have too much talent to not make the playoffs, and they're not far enough. Like right now, we're looking at the Metropolitan Division that has been completely screwed up by like last second heaters right before Thanksgiving. Like that's why Philly's in it. That's why Washington's there. I think New York has been on a heater. They lost on Monday night, but like they're on an incredible heater, and I think that that's more indicative of who they are than the other two teams. So the Devils I for sure have in there. The Sabres, I don't know. Like this, I'm still torn on the Sabres. They obviously have a ton of talent. They're going to need great goaltending from Devin Levi. They're going to need to overcome the loss of Tage Thompson, however long he's out. The fact that it's a wrist injuries linger even after guys come back. Like that really worries me, and
anything
I think
with
there's
the hand
a
of
good
the
chance
wrist is like a death knell.
I think there's
hockey.
a good chance that the Sabres miss the playoffs, like a really good chance. Yeah, and that bums me out, especially in that Atlantic. But like, I think that most of the changes that I'm looking at to come in the Atlantic are going to be in the Metro.
Yeah, well, the Atlantic is so much better than the Metro this year. It is
not just this year,
crazy, right? Just generally, but so much better this year. The Red Wings, by the way, have played fewer games than some of the teams ahead of them. So they are kind of ish there. At the very least, they're in the hunt. Do you want to take a look at the West, or do you have any more thoughts on the East?
So I just put a list of teams together that I thought would make the playoffs. And of the list right now, of the standings right now, I think the Caps, Flyers, are out, and the Red Wings didn't make the cut there, but I have the Devils and Penguins.
I did want to talk about the Penguins.
Yes,
like that was going to be the last thing before we moved on.
I'm not convinced, but based off what I've seen, they've been okay. I worry about them on the back end. I don't think their defense is very good, and I don't think their goaltending is great. But like, if you're getting insane years from Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, you're probably going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's a bummer. If that team does its version of loading up, which it tried to do this offseason, and doesn't even make
really
the playoffs,
make them better.
It did, but everybody at the time was like, cool, you're a little shinier, and it's like the classic thing of like, oh, wow, is it 2015 again already? This team would be so sick, but I still want them to make the playoffs, and I want to see what kind of tough out they are, but they're old.
Yeah.
They're not deep. They're not that good.
Who do you think wins the Metropolitan Division based off of what you've seen so far? Because the Rangers are on top by a pretty healthy margin right now, but do you think that holds?
It's hard to say no, just because I hear you. 4 points is tough to make up in the NHL. It sounds so stupid, but
it's not that hard.
But it just doesn't happen as much as you would think it would.
Right. I still really like Carolina. Carolina's had a tough start to the season. Their underlying numbers say they're going to be better. I know that it's always the case with Carolina, but like if they get some goals and their goaltending improves, I could see them overtaking New York at the top of the division and winning that division.
Their point differential, where is it? I just had it. Their point differential is only +2.
Point differential or goal differential? Is that
goal differential?
Okay,
same
thing.
Gotcha. Is only +2.
So I'm saying they're not getting enough scoring, and they're not getting enough saves. So I think both of those things can improve down the stretch. And again, like the Rangers are coming off an insane heater right now. They're still the Rangers. They still have some holes. They're not as, the gap's not going to be that big.
All right, let's look at the West, where the Knights lead the way with 28 points, Stars 25, Canucks 27, Kings 25, Avalanche 22, Jets 22, Blues 19, Kraken 19. In the mix would be the Coyotes. They have 18 points in 18 games. The Ducks have 18 points in 18 games. Quite the disruptor, some have said. And the Flames, still not totally dead, have 17 points in 18 games. But the headline here will be a team that has not been mentioned yet, The Edmonton Oilers, who have 11 points in 17 games. So they are 8 points out of a playoff spot right now. That is some. And there have been times when teams have made big surges in the second half of the season. Usually they still don't end up making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Oilers find their way back into this?
I know that I've kept saying no.
The answer is they're going to be in it. I don't know how, but they're going to be in it.
I know that's where I land. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it. And I've spent so much time talking about like the hole that they've put themselves in is going to be extremely hard to get out. The Oilers are just one of those teams that it's like it seems like they're always going to be there. And they still have McDavid, they still have Draisaitl. At some point, the switch is going to be flipped, and they're going to go on a heater, and they're going to be back in the mix. I don't know when or how, but it's going to happen.
I'm going to start the hashtag, here come the Oilers, because there's going to be a lot of here come the Oilers talk at any point, whether they win a game 4-1 or 7-5. If they win back-to-back games, which
they won 3 in a row.
They won 3 in a row. Thank you, Jay Woodcroft.
Right.
For beginning that win streak.
Bring him back.
Right. Every time things start to look up for the Oilers, there's going to be here come the Oilers, because they are too good offensively to just die.
Mm-hmm.
But they're the Oilers.
Here's my other thing is that the rest of the conference, like the bottom half of the Western Conference, is so bad.
So one of my notes is
so bad.
The West is so top heavy.
Yeah.
Knights are awesome. Stars are really good. Canucks have blown our minds.
Yeah.
Kings, we thought all along were going to be really good.
Haven't mentioned the Avalanche.
Avalanche are I would say Avalanche are right there.
Right.
That's the way I would deem the Avalanche. And then from there, sorry, Jets. I know you're having a good season, but
like paper tigers there.
No.
Yeah.
Jets, no. Blues, no. Kraken, I wish.
The Kraken have not impressed me.
Yes.
You know, here, I'm not pandering, but you know who I think could be in the mix here?
The Ducks.
No. That
Coyotes.
would be pandering to you. I'm going to pander to the other person.
Yeah.
I think the Arizona Coyotes could find themselves in a playoff spot.
Dude.
They are on the outside looking in as of today. Well, maybe. After tonight, they could be in the picture. Because they have a big game against the Blues on Wednesday night tonight. And if they win, they are in the picture.
Shout out the Blues, by the way, for just being U.S. Thanksgiving kings.
I know.
I'm pulling for the Coyotes in that game. I'm going to bet the Blues, though, because this is their Stanley Cup.
That's right.
They're a U.S. Thanksgiving team.
They love to position themselves in the right spots at Thanksgiving. They're also the team that everybody talks about as, hey, you can still make it even if you're in dead last place at New Year's.
That's what I was.
People forget this. People forget there was this 2019.
My bad.
2019. That's okay. They made the playoffs.
They did after being in dead last place on New Year's Day. There's always a chance. But the Blues right now are not really registering with me. I'm not buying in because Jordan Binnington has been unbelievable to start the season, and he's a roller coaster. And the Blues just aren't a great team around him. So
is it crazy that the Flames? I mean, we were saying that it was wild that last year the Flames were in playoff position. It feels crazy to me that the Flames are in the hunt right now. Like that seems like an overachievement.
I would say they've underachieved.
They're supposed to fail so hard that them not falling on their face to me is it's not so bad in Calgary. Calgary. Tim Peel, people do want to play in Canada.
This is honestly maybe the worst spot you could be in as a Flames fan or the Flames in general, just because they have so many expiring contracts on their roster, and they've already had a trade request. They are going to have to make some tough decisions if they are in the hunt for much longer.
I bet they wish they had even more expiring contracts, though.
You think they wish they had more so that they could sell a bunch, or just to get everybody out of there?
You can't think of a contract they wish were expiring.
Oh, yeah. Well, that one would have already expired.
Well, if they never signed, no, I'm saying like they're wishing this was like a 1-year deal, and the Jonathan Huberdeau was expiring.
Fair enough. Good joke.
Thank you. So it was good when you have to explain it.
Yeah, I think the Flames are going to be in a tough spot if they hang around much longer. I don't expect them to, just because the vibes are so bad.
Yeah. So we expect more variance in the East than in the West this year, but the West could have the most fireworks, because if the Oilers do find their way into the mix, like, watch the hell out. It ain't just going to be the Blues who suffer if the Oilers come up. But 8 points is so hard to make up, especially if you are in a division with the Knights, the Canucks, who are awesome right now, the Kings who are going to be... Say what you will about the Kings. Like, maybe you think they're an unsexy team or whatever. I don't see the Kings being rattled at any point. I don't think they're ever going to be super hot or super cold. I think they're going to be steady Eddie from here on out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good point. I also think that the best 3 teams in the Western Conference are all in the Pacific, with those 3, with Vegas, with Vancouver, and LA.
Would you trade divisions if you could? Like, would you trade the Central for the Atlantic so the West could be the coolest shit in the world? Atlantic and Pacific in the same conference?
No.
I would never watch another Eastern Conference game again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that you need a little bit of balance in both conferences. Like, if the Eastern Conference was just shit top to bottom, like, and your best team was the New York Rangers in the East, I'd be like, ugh.
Can we just do a quick rank? Let's do a quick power ranking. Not in terms of how good they are, but just in terms of how much we like them, of the conferences.
The conference or the divisions?
I'm sorry, the divisions. Yeah, power rankings of conference. Yeah. 1 West, 2 keep the change, you filthy animal.
Number 1 Pacific.
Number 1 Pacific.
Not
number
even close.
2 Atlantic.
Yes.
And then figure who
Metro,
fucking cares. You
Metro
go Metro third?
Yeah, like the Central doesn't have a lot of excitement. There's competition, but it's like kind of heavy and not that exciting. There's not a ton of star power in the Central. Like, most of it's on the Avalanche.
Famously is more star power than in any other division.
It's true, because they have a team named the Stars.
Literally called the Stars.
But like Colorado, like most of the star power is heavily located in Colorado and now in Chicago in that Central division.
I mean, Chicago messes it up for me. Shout out the Wild. Your division's automatically boring if it has the Wild, but shout out them. But the Blackhawks
might be the first time we've ever mentioned the Wild on the show.
No, we've mentioned them like 4 times, and every time we're like,
no thanks.
Poor guys.
Hey, at least Marco Rossi's cool.
There's plenty of cool things about the Wild. It's Twin Cities. Do you know this?
Super cool.
Sean, you been to Minnesota?
No, I've never been to Minnesota, but I know about the Twin Cities deal.
Good cities.
I believe it. I've heard.
Twin cities. Do you get that reference, Sean? You
Nope.
can't.
Oh, man.
Was this Coors
Oh,
Light?
wait,
Coors
yes, I
Light.
do. Yes, I do. Never mind.
Twins.
Like football on TV.
One of them was like something, hanging out with friends, fun that never ends.
Yep.
And twins. If I were hanging out with a friend and they were like, yo, you know what's sick? When 2 women are twin sisters. I don't say things like this, but I'd be like, brother, touch grass.
I know. That's such a good point. Also, like, twins are weird, man. Like, they're just weird existence.
Not in hockey. Twins are awesome.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Do you know that all the Hughes brothers are twins?
That's right. Triplets.
What?
Triplets.
Is that
There's 3 of them.
like 3 twins?
Yeah.
That's not bad. I've never heard that before. Sedins were, how many? There was like 2 Sedins.
There was 2, and then Marchand killed 1, and so there's only 1 left.
That's right, and now there's only 1. Here's the clip of Marchand talking about that. We kid. So, to summarize, East, more shit's gonna happen. West, the shit will be crazier.
Shit will be crazier. Shit's always crazier in the West. I don't know who I am kicking out of the playoff picture yet. Like, I think the Blues are out.
Yeah.
Seattle is Seattle has been bad.
Seattle has not been bad. Seattle has sucked. For a team that
What's
is
the
currently in
difference
playoff
there?
position, they have sucked. Oh, wait. What do you... Sucking is worse than being bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if you were like playing some trick on me there. Yeah, no, they haven't been good at all. And the fact that they're in a playoff position is wild. Like, the Ducks deserve it more than Seattle does. I think
what sucks
they have a
about-
higher point percentage than Seattle does right now, because Seattle's the only team in the league that's played 20 games.
That's what sucks about the day before Thanksgiving standings right now. Like, the Red Wings are a playoff team right now, even if they're not there.
I would say the same thing about like Anaheim.
And the Ducks.
Yeah.
Those have been the early season stories. They've been each other's conferences disruptors. So it stinks that they're not.
All
in
right,
the mix
let me
right
ask you
now.
this. For a team that is not in a playoff position in the West right now, who are you rooting for to make it the most? Is it the Oilers? Is it the Ducks? Is it someone else?
Oh, shoot. I think, shoot. I will root.
Arizona. I think the answer is Arizona.
I think like my answer is legitimately, it's so hard though, because like the Oilers not making the playoffs would be so bad for the sport. And
That's the thing. I can't not have the Oilers in the playoffs. And I was
Right.
going to say, I was going to pick the Ducks because I will root so hard for the Ducks in the postseason. But if the Oilers make a bunch of noise and miss the playoffs, that's ultimately not going to be as satisfying as we think it would be. If we're promised the Oilers trying to get back in it, so that'll be entertainment in and of itself. Once the playoffs roll around and there's no McDavid and Draisaitl, that shit does suck. Even it sucked last year. Like when they got eliminated by the Knights, I'm an Oilers fan, I guess, so I was upset anyway. But like continuing to watch the playoffs, I was fucking sad. I was happy for Eichel and all those guys, but it's like, damn, this is so much better and obviously more chaotic when
Right.
the Oilers are in it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So-
I will root so hard for the Ducks in the playoffs if they make it.
okay.
I will
mean-
get every sand-colored gross jersey.
Don't, because actually that won't deter you. Like the Ducks are going to change to, they're going to change their uniforms.
I think I'm going to get a J.S. Jaguar jersey, by the way.
Hell yeah.
You have a very
Support.
Anaheim Ducks inspired outfit right now.
That's true. Yeah, I'm wearing the Ducks colors right now.
I have a very Dallas Stars inspired outfit. You can't see it though. This is a bootleg. It says The Cars. You know that band? The shirt was just what I needed. And what I really need is a good prebiotic soda sometimes.
Mhm.
So when I'm making my decision on that, I say, you know what? It'll be an Olipop for me. You know, the classic scene. You're out to lunch with the boss and some other coworkers.
Mhm.
I'll have a lemonade. I'll have orange juice. I'll have a lemon lime Olipop. And then all those other fucking dorks are like, oh, I'll have an Olipop too. And the boss is like, no, DJ started that. DJ, if you want to be that guy or gal at your next business lunch,
Let them cook.
order an Olipop, okay? And they'll say, do you mean that prebiotic soda with fewer than 5 grams of sugar per can? And you'd say, did I stutter? Yes, I mean Olipop. And if you don't believe the flavor I'm getting right now, why don't you come on back to the crib? I've got tons of it because I went on drinkolipop.com and used the code CHAOS for 20% off my order. After I did that, I made a quick stop by 22,000 stores across America and loaded the hell up. So yeah, the place is dripping with Olipop. Grape when Sean's not there because he'll clean the place right out.
Can confirm.
Can confirm Sean goes nuts on the grape. Or classic cola, which is my favorite. The strawberry vanilla is so good. Pete's tapped in right now. Are you tapped in?
I'm not tapped in right now, but I had a cream soda earlier.
And as we all know, if you got digestive issues like most Americans do, it's going to help with that. Okay? Hey.
Get regular.
And Frank Thomas' voice, she'll like it too. Because everybody can have it. It's not, I'm a man hawking Olipop, but everybody can have it.
That's right.
So they'll like it too. Everybody will like it too. Let's normalize doing the blank will like it too to not just mean it's a sex thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Olipop, I saw Stephen A. Smith. Someone asked him, what's the best thing to drink? when you're thinking of getting in the mood. And
Do you remember when there was a soda that came out and it was like, it's not for women? Remember that?
I thought that
one of the weirdest ad campaigns ever.
that was like recently, right?
That was like 5 years ago.
That is way too recent for that to be happening. Olipop. It's for everybody, especially people who want prebiotic sodas that work for vegan,
They taste
keto,
great.
taste amazing, the whole
Less
thing.
than 5 grams of sugar.
Chaos on drinkolipop.com, 20% off your order. In other news, you're being a little twerp on Twitter again. The Bruins are doing their dad's trip. Are they home?
No, they were just in Tampa.
That's right.
I saw the dads really taking advantage of that. What is it called?
Chase Club?
The Chase Club.
Boys, episode over. I'm just rundown dead. I cannot wait to take you to I believe the Chase Club. It's called the Chase Club or the Chase Lounge.
It's called
Sean.
the Chase Lounge.
That's right. Have I told you about the Chase Lounge at Amalie Arena?
You have not?
Brother, what have I been talking to you about then? Because this is it's the height of life. It would bring me so much joy to bring you and you.
DJ went on a bachelor party to Tampa, Florida a few years ago.
Last year?
No,
Last year.
2 years ago. And
Last year?
part of that bachelor party was a trip to a Amalie Arena, Sweet Life at the Chase Lounge.
Yeah.
For a Lightning game. And boy, all this guy could talk about was like free chicken tenders.
Wait, so when you
That's
say
not what I was doing. Pete's being an asshole to like undersell what the experience is. I have been to I've done some club seating in my day, okay?
I don't remember what like the hook was.
It's that it is a multi-level experience that truly has everything you'd want. It is by far the best premium game experience or concert experience, whatever I've ever experienced. It's multiple levels. It's a bunch of bars if you're into that sort of thing, everything inclusive. You get dinner, like real meals, good food. There's everything you could think of as far as like an ice cream bar, dessert, all these things. There's also a cigar lounge if you want to do that. I didn't want to do that, but some of my friends did.
in the arena?
What's that?
In the arena?
In the arena.
Is that not federally illegal? Let's say it's
It's
What are you,
Florida.
a narc?
Yeah,
it's Florida.
it's Florida. And the best part of it is there was like real seats. You also had that option. If you want to be like, you know what, I'm going to be a real fan for now and not just be a bozo wandering around. There is real seats that are good seats. And honestly, I want to say it wasn't too pricey. It was probably, it was a game against the Bruins too, as fate would have it. And the price was probably, it was like $300 or something.
It's not bad.
Which for...
It's probably a lot for a Lightning game, but like...
Maybe people show out for Lightning games, though. They've got a loyal fan base.
This sounds
but they
like,
have everything.
This sounds like we're angling for a like a package to the Chase Lounge in Tampa, which is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah,
I definitely want that.
For sure. I do want to do content based around it. When we went, we were like, at various points in our lives, we should come back and do this thing anyway. It was a good game because it was two good teams, but
anybody with the Tampa Bay
best
Lightning
premium, like club level sort of thing I've ever done.
Anybody with the Tampa Bay Lightning, you know where to find us. Reach out, hook it up. But yeah, I sent a tweet. The Bruins had like their dad's trip, and Matty Poitras' dad they were like, tell us a fun fact about Matthew. And he used the opportunity to just be like, my son's a fucking bum. So here it is.
Hi, I'm Phil Poitras, Matt's dad. Fun fact about Matt. He still seems to, even after making the Bruins, still lives off of myself and my wife. The car he has is ours. He tends not to pay insurance. I'm surprised he even pays for gas, to be honest. But that's him in a nutshell.
So my reaction, you saw that clip and you were very excited about it. You were like, look what Matty Poitras' dad said. He's talking shit and I was like, that's not bad. Like a lot of players Poitras' age probably do that. Jeremy Swayman said to us that he's still on his parents' Spotify. So I was like, not a big deal, but like kind of funny that that's what he chose to use that video for. I thought I was kind of being a wet blanket, but you put it out there that you were like, this is very funny that he said this. Darren Drager responded to you and said, father, son chirp each other all the time. This is minor. Happy, fun-loving family. Good people. So
should preface it by saying that I tweeted in a joking manner, looks like trouble's brewing for the Poitras family Thanksgiving this year, which obviously a joke. Darren Drager has followed me for a while at this point. I think that he has some understanding that I joke around and like to have fun. That response was so unexpected. Just fully clarifying that Matthew Poitras' dad does not hate Matthew Poitras. Thank you, Darren. Much
also,
appreciated.
As a mid-20-year-old, if his dad is saying this on a TikTok or whatever, he was going to be hearing that at Thanksgiving dinner regardless.
He probably hears that every time he sees his dad. If that's where his dad is going to on camera. Like, that was the funniest part to me, is that the prompt was probably like, hey, what's a fun thing about Matt? And his dad's just like, he doesn't pay for his car insurance.
That's a dad thing to do, though. Like, dad's always got to be like, oh, you like my son? Let me be cool and tell you that he sucks. It's like, he doesn't like the kids in the NHL. He's pretty awesome.
I'm very interested to hear what the other dads said about their sons, though. Because, like, where all the other ones, like, he's really good at guitar, actually. And then,
but like, Matthew Poitras, what, 19?
Lena Solmark's dad was like, he is a Spotify wizard. Nothing for wussies.
Matthew Poitras 19, 20, one of those two.
30.
Like, I would be expecting most 19-year-olds in the NHL not paying for their own car insurance. Or if they are, they don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just linked to their bank account and somebody, like, their parents set it up for them. So, Mr. Poitras, be a little nicer.
While I agreed with the sentiment behind Darren Drager's tweet, I don't know that it was necessarily worth tweeting on his part. I think that he could disagree with you silently. So while I didn't think Mr. Poitras calling his son an asshole was the end of the world, I did get your back. I responded to Drager. Darren, I tried to tell him this, but he wouldn't listen. It's totally normal. Some things are bigger than the game.
That's a great response.
So
my response to Darren.
Back. Did you respond to him?
Oh, yeah. I had a big time asshole tweet in response. I said, gotcha. Still waiting for my dad to get back from getting cigarettes when I was 11.
Nice. Cigarettes are the silent killer.
That's right. They were very silent.
They were.
Never heard from my dad
Didn't
again.
even exist. Yeah. Well, did we do the Eastern Conference and Western Conference thing
We
yet?
did.
I'm kidding. Patrik Laine is big bummed out from being scratched by the Blue Jackets, which if I were Patrik Laine, I'd be pretty bummed out right now, or if I were anybody on the Blue Jackets. We talked yesterday, like I'm rooting for the Blue Jackets to be good and for the vibes to turn around. We're probably going to go to Columbus at some point to try to cheer them up, but here's Laine talking about his healthy scratch.
Some guys look at them as a chance to get a break and they're okay with them. Some guys are embarrassed and pissed off about them. Where do you land on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, over my career, probably the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me. So I'm obviously not happy about that, and I think they know that. But it is what it is. It's done, and now we're back. So just try to focus on playing. So
yeah.
Do you like?
Is it embarrassing? I don't think it's embarrassing.
It's not. I mean, it is embarrassing
because everyone's like taking his side.
But it's being talked about. When we talked about this 2 days ago when it happened, like, it's one thing for it to not be working. It's one thing to be struggling. It's one thing to even be Huberdeau in Calgary, where you get benched for like the entire third period. Yeah, it's like humiliating.
Check still clears, baby. Get that money, Johnny.
Like when you get healthy scratched and you're on a bad team and it becomes headline news and like the leading item to start a show like ours on a Monday morning, it's humiliating. Like, Patrik Laine has a lot of pride, and I think that it's not a secret that he's a pretty sensitive guy. He is he cares a lot about the perception. He cares a lot about his career, and things haven't exactly gone the way that he probably projected his career to go to this point. So, like, it bums me out, and you can see it all over his face in that clip. It's just like he is struggling with that, and that's the reason that I have a hard time with what's going on in Columbus right now, is that you just know that, like, it's eating away at a lot of these guys, even more so on an individual level than just a team struggling and being near the bottom of the league.
Do you think that he gets traded? He is in year 2 of a 4-year deal with an $8.7 million cap hit. I'll say off the top of my head, I can't think of teams that have $8.7 million in cap space and are competitive, because as I look at it, like, nobody has that kind of cap space. Everybody was going to be tight against the cap this year. If you get into like LTIR stuff, I guess maybe the Capitals or the Rangers could do some sort of fancy maneuvering to make space for him, but I don't think if you're Columbus, you're retaining any money on trading him. I think that your best course of action, if you're the Blue Jackets, is to try to make the marriage work.
I think you try, but I think that at some point there is going to be all right, we just kind of have to move on. And I don't know what that point is or how close we are to it. I think it's ugly right now. There's a chance that this all just blows over and Patrik Laine finds a little bit more comfort in that lineup. But, like, what about a team, if you are going to trade him, and I don't think it's out of the question, especially he only has this year and another year left on his current contract.
Right.
It is $8.7 million, so that is a pretty hefty salary.
Isn't this year 2 of it? Am I wrong?
I thought that I had heard that it was up after this year, but I could be wrong.
2025-26 is the last year.
Okay, so what? There's 2 more years beyond this one?
Correct. It's year 2 of a 4-year deal.
Okay, so yeah, like you've got a substantial commitment there, but like we talked about this a little bit. What about the option of, like, if you are at the point of no return or you're approaching it, what about a team like the Chicago Blackhawks? Like, the Chicago Blackhawks should be in the market for good wingers that they can pair with Connor Bedard and Patrik Laine clearly is not a short-term thing. Like, he could fit into their timeline, fit into their
he's still
their
25.
Picture.
That's crazy.
Right. Like, that could be a really good fit. And if you're the Blackhawks, I assume that they have plenty of financial flexibility.
They do.
You don't want to, like, if you're going to go pursue a guy like William Nylander after this season, which I think the Blackhawks absolutely should do for the same reason that they would maybe want to look into getting Patrik Laine. Like, you don't want to put yourself in a tough position just throwing money around right now. But, like, if you can go get a guy like Patrik Laine and you're the Blackhawks for pennies on the dollar, absolutely look into that.
So let me think. Yeah, the Blackhawks do not have big money committed long-term to guys. Taylor Hall is up after next season. Obviously, Seth Jones is getting $9.5 million forever. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's just going to be a matter of eventually giving people raises. Foligno is $4 million off the books at the end of this year. Corey Perry is $4 million off the books at the end of this year.
Those two alone would essentially be like a wash for Patrik Laine. If you go out and get Laine, you'd be like, okay, well, we won't bring back Foligno, we won't bring back Perry, or even if we do bring back 1 or 2 of those guys, it'll be for less money.
And Laine right now would cover the length of Connor Bedard's entry-level deal.
There you go.
For the next 3, so you're paying another $8.7 million on the books, but once you have to pay Bedard, that money's off the books. You could make this work. I know that the Blackhawks are going to have to be very careful with how they commit their money because they don't want to lock themselves into some weird Oilers thing where it's like, fuck, we want to have 10 really good players and we have 5 really good players. Where'd the rest of the money go? But they're not in danger of that right now.
And I guess the question is like, are the Blue Jackets ready to give up on Laine right now? Should they give up on Laine right now? And I think, like, honestly, the answer may be closer to yes than we think because, I mean, you talk about the Blue Jackets and their season right now. If you're already willing to turn the page and you can trade a guy like Laine, get maybe some future assets, even if it's not full value. Like, you're committing to the tank, and you're committing to, okay, let's go get Celebrini. Let's go add more pieces to the mix for the future. Like, this is clearly a longer-term building vision than maybe we had initially intended. And then, like, the next question becomes, well, do you want Jarmo Kekalainen to be the guy making that deal?
And at that point, you'd probably just get a clean start. You wanted to start honing in on not just always Connor McDavid, who is the greatest hockey player in the world, focus more on the here and now, who is currently the best hockey player in the world. Connor McDavid's too sad right now. He can't be the best hockey player in the world. Who is your nomination for current greatest hockey player to ever live in the world of all time, like today?
So I want to have a system, and I want it to be whenever we decide that somebody is the best player in the world as of today, as of this moment, and it can't be like a guy had a hat trick last night, so he's the best player in the world. Like, it has to be
2 hat tricks.
Right. It has to be Frankfurt, Toronto every time. No, like, it has to be a guy who's had an incredible couple weeks or something like that. But let's play off recency bias and declare like the best player in the world right now. And I want it to work in a system that it's essentially like a title belt. And it can be handed from one player to the next player, but only one player can hold it
Sean will
at a time.
animate that.
Huh?
Sean, can you animate things?
Give me some time, I can learn.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna do. So that's close to what I thought you were. I thought you were gonna be like, I got you. Give me some time, I can learn.
So the process, we can work on the process, but like I have it in my mind right now that like one of the three of us will have to nominate a player, and we will have to take a vote on it. All three of us, and it will have to be a unanimous yes for that person to earn the title belt of best player in the world.
Okay.
And then anytime we want to give it to somebody else, same process. And if it doesn't pass, then that person holds on to it. My nomination right now should not come as a big surprise. It's Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks.
I think it's a great nomination.
Do I have to? Should I go into explaining?
Make your case?
I can make my case, and I think
Pete Blackburn explains why Quinn Hughes is good. Is very good.
Yes. As of today, as of this recording, he has 8 goals, which is top 30 in the league. He has 22 assists, which is second in the league. He has 30 points, which is very first in the NHL as a defenseman. He also has the best plus minus. I don't know how much you want to weigh into that. No, plus minus
guy.
Plus minus can be a very divisive stat in hockey.
I think it's the most important stat. I think it tells all. And what I like to do is take the members of a line, add up all their plus minus.
That's everybody's favorite practice.
Then you get a really accurate painting of what's going on.
But if we're doing a full season projection, based off of Quinn Hughes' current production, he is on pace for 35 goals, 95 assists, and 129 points as a defenseman with the Vancouver Canucks at 24 years old. He is the best player in the world right now. He also just had one of the sickest highlights of the season a couple days ago. I know it came against the Sharks, but him burning 2 Sharks defenders with his edge work in the offensive zone, then releasing an absolutely disgusting shot at a wicked angle and bouncing it off 2 posts to score was one of the best highlights of the season. So my nomination is Quinn Hughes for best player in the world.
I'm feeling out how this process works, but I'm inclined to not approve this because I think that there's too strong another candidate. Does it? I guess we'll all vote differently, but does it have to be this is an open and shut case? Yes, obviously Quinn Hughes is the best player in the world. Or is it he's got it right now kind of thing? Because if it's the latter, that allows for us to not always be like, it's McDavid. It can't be this person. It's McDavid. It can't be this person. It's McDavid.
No, like like we all know that Connor McDavid is the most talented player in the world, which is exactly why I want to have this system where like Connor McDavid is the best hockey player in the world overall. He may not be right this second, but he is the best player overall in the world. I want to operate it on right now. In the last 2 weeks, who has been the best hockey player in the world? Who do you think is close behind Quinn Hughes?
I think that William Nylander.
I think that's a good
is right now, but it is literally flipping a coin between William Nylander and Quinn Hughes. And what I'm trying to use as the tiebreaker is like, which season is more of an anomaly? Because William Nylander is on pace for 130 points this season,
but he's a forward playing with the Toronto Maple Leafs,
right?
I think you have to.
But he's also a wing who's going to have 130 points.
My one argument would be who is more individually valuable to their team when all things being equal.
If we get into
but that's not best.
But I'm just saying you have two players that have like pretty comparable.
It's
cases.
a good tiebreaker.
My tiebreaker would be
value to their
Hughes
team.
I feel like a little more.
Let me argue this though. Like I understand. Like it's obviously impressive what Willie Nylander's doing right now, and being on pace for 130 points. Awesome.
He's never had 90 points,
especially from the wing.
Yeah,
but Quinn Hughes is a defenseman, and he's on pace for 129. And Erik Karlsson was the first defenseman to hit 100 points last year in forever.
It's just that 130 is more than 129, and I can't shake
But
that.
on the defenseman to forward scale, it's not. The weighted points, from the back end is way stronger.
Just so we can have a current best player in the world, I can improve it.
I don't want to
Sean, do you think that Hughes is the best right now?
I would go with Hughes.
I would be okay with the first nomination. Like it heightens suspense. I would be okay with the first nomination not ending in us anointing a best player in the world, but like it has to be for a real reason.
But then people are going to accuse me of filibustering until it can be like Zach Hyman.
You're going to get the Dom Lucizen treatment, which I don't know if you're aware of that.
No.
But Dom came out with like his player models or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had Seth Jones ranked above Quinn Hughes. So now...
Oh, no. We ought to be mean to Seth Jones because he makes $9.5 million. I'm a hockey fan.
But now...
Shut up.
Now anytime Quinn Hughes does anything good... which is basically every night 4 different times.
But I was told Seth Jones was better. Is that what happened?
Yes, and they're tagging him. Like, I cannot imagine the abuse that Dom is taking on Twitter because I posted a Quinn Hughes highlight the other night, and all of my mentions were people just being like, but Seth Jones is better, right? And there a lot of them, a lot of them were like, but Dom isn't seeing this because he's asleep because it's too late for him to watch West Coast games. I love people on the West Coast who just assume West Coast bias. Be like, oh, you taking a nap? You can't watch the Canucks? That's why you're not talking about us? I love that stuff.
I mean, I don't sleep. I just drink coffee all the time. And I don't talk about I live in New York time and I watch only Western Conference teams.
Right. So...
I don't know, Jim. I do want to ask this. Do y'all think that Quinn Hughes, because you brought up value, do you think that Quinn Hughes is the Hart favorite right now?
I don't think that he's the Hart favorite. I think he's probably has the most value as a Hart candidate.
No shot.
No shot?
No shot.
That's, I mean...
No shot. He would have to continue having... a bonkers. I hate to be flippant or dismissive. No shot. When was the last defenseman? Chris Pronger to win Hart?
Quinn Hughes is better than Chris Pronger.
Well, Chris Pronger's 1,000 years old, so I would hope Quinn Hughes is better than Chris Pronger.
He would skate circles around Chris Pronger right now.
Who's the Hart favorite right now? Is it?
It's McDavid. I mean, on
paper, it's McDavid.
Is it still McDavid?
But that's just because it's Connor McDavid.
If the season were to end today,
he's plus 300 right now.
If the season were to end today, you know who wins the Hart?
Who? Sidney Crosby?
David Pastrnak.
Yeah. I was kind of
not a Bruins league.
I was kind of surprised
not a Bruins trophy.
that Quinn Hughes overtook Pastrnak for the points lead. Like, I didn't know that Pastrnak was racking up that many points.
Yeah. You know what? Is Quinn Hughes the biggest Hart candidate on his own team?
Elias Pettersson? Or who? JT Miller?
JT Miller.
No, man. Look at the power play points.
He's got 29 points. Jim.
Look at the power play production.
Yeah, he doesn't have any power play points.
That's not true. Get out of here.
He doesn't.
That's
he has how many power play points do you think he has? Oh, tough guy. Quinn Hughes has more power play points than JT Miller.
That's because Quinn Hughes has more points than everybody.
Yes, but he has okay. Quinn Hughes has 30 points, 14 power play points.
Okay.
JT Miller, not a Canucks podcast, has 29 points, 13 power play points. It's the same.
Yeah,
Samesies.
but so here's the deal. Quinn Hughes is the power play quarterback. He's more integral to that power play system than JT Miller is. JT Miller is a power play merchant. Quinn Hughes is a power play facilitator.
Jim, I don't know.
That's my argument.
Yo, where are all the good players at on this points list? Like, can I get a Nathan McKinnon, please? I got to scroll down to 17.
The league's in a weird place
17th?
right now. The league is the Canucks have thrown the entire league into a blender.
Like, if you were to say, hey, points per game, or just points this season, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Crosby, doesn't that sound like 1, 2, and 3 more than 15, 16, 17?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, the 10 most point earners are all Vancouver Canucks. So.
Mitch Marner has 20 points. Do you know that whenever Boston Sports Radio brings up Don Sweeney's bad PR moves the last couple of years, they say, and he signed Mitch Marner last year.
Really?
Meaning Mitchell Miller.
Yeah.
Every time Mitch Marner hears that, he must be like 50 Cent. What they saying fuck me for?
Yeah. It's like, I've had a pretty good couple of years.
Oh boy.
If Don Sweeney signed Mitch Marner,
I would
pretty
sign
happy
Mitch
with
Marner in a second.
All right, so what's our decision? We have 2 yeses on Quinn Hughes as the best player in the world.
I'll get it as long, although we're like a Thanksgiving break. We're still gonna be pumping out content, but someone's gonna have to make a graphic now to declare that. So for Sean's sake, do I vote against this so he doesn't have to do extra work?
I can make the graphic.
I didn't think about that.
How about this? Whoever nominates the person has to make the graphic.
I like that.
Well, here's a question: Is there just like, can we call for a vote at like any time? Like if
I think it has to be on the show.
Middle of the night.
Yeah. But like if tomorrow,
you can call for a vote at any time. Like because like it has to be based off of like a wider sample. Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned, Willie Nylander is close to being the best player in the world right now. You can make an argument for him being the best player in the world right now. So say we anoint Quinn Hughes today, and tonight Willie Nylander has a 5-6 point game or something like that. I don't think they play tonight, but
every team play. I bet he does.
But they played in Sweden. So
that's right.
So say he has a 5 or 6 point night. Then I think the next day you can come in and be like, I would like to hold a hearing for the best player in the world, and I would like to nominate Willie Nylander, and we can have the debate all over again.
I love this. It's a slippery slope, though. Do we do it with like a bunch of superlatives? Like if a player goes 3 games without a penalty, or do we have some like Lady Bing version of this?
No, I think that we have to keep it to like big scale things.
Like,
well, I want to call their version of this so I can bang the Logan Cooley drum, who is right up there in terms of points with Connor Bedard, in case you hadn't heard.
I think that like the way to do it is to figure out, as we do the show, what becomes like a popular topic of discourse. Like things like we've been talking about, like league disruptor.
Oh yeah,
we can anoint a league. We can anoint a league disruptor when we want to. But I like starting it off with the best player in the world, just because the conversation typically begins and ends with Connor McDavid every time.
Are we allowed to just like take some swings? Am I allowed to be like, yo, I was watching the Stars last night. I forgot how good this guy still is. Can Joe Pavelski be the best player in the world? And then like we have to have a conversation about it.
You can nominate. You're not really like being. It's not like an offsides challenge or a goaltender interference challenge. You're not being penalized.
It's not use it or lose it.
Yeah,
just
you're not getting penalized for getting it wrong if your nomination is rejected. But it's maybe a poor look on you personally if you just constantly bring guys to the table and me and Sean
You
are
don't want a volume shoot.
Is this, I mean, I know anybody can win it, but are we just kind of focusing on skaters for this hypothetical conversation?
No, like if a goaltender is straight up.
I was just wondering. I was just looking at
if a goaltender is straight up carrying his dead weight of a team and like it's a Jordan Binnington and whatever, 2019, you can nominate him as best player in the world. I would argue that there's a good chance that goaltenders may receive like even more consideration based off of their individual impact.
Yeah. I can see that. Let's do it. You make the graphic. Quinn Hughes is currently the greatest hockey player in the world.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Congratulations.
The first recipient of the belt. I would love to make an actual belt.
A physical belt.
Yes.
Like craft a belt?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know if you meant like make one in Photoshop. Maybe ask our friends
no, I would like to be
AI
able
to make one for us.
I would like to be able to hold up the belt and like hand it through the screen.
I was going to say we should send it to them and they'll be like, "What?"
By the time they receive it, he has to, can you please send this to Willie Nylander?
Get our guys to collect a lot on making just a bunch of belts.
Yes. I would love to like physically send it to the Canucks in the mail and then be like, also,
by the time they get it.
Yeah, right. Be like, hey, can you send this over to the Maple Leafs?
No, just be like, dear Quinn, please check our Twitter accounts this day. We will say whether you should keep this or possibly give it to JT ? Things could change.
That's right. So congratulations, Quinn Hughes, the best player in the world right now.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy U.S. Thanksgiving, everybody. Be good. Hopefully everyone has a nice time. And Wednesday, tonight, enjoy 14 games, Gary.
Hammer the Seth Jones anytime goal. That What Chaos bump is coming. He is going to get his first goal of the season tonight against the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets, who we still love, and we hope that things get better. But also, please just let Seth Jones score. Be nice. Let him hit the Heffernan.
Ask your loved ones on Thanksgiving to smash that like and subscribe and 5 stars. It goes a long way with helping us to continue to book the awesome guests we've booked. It ain't just our pretty faces and our charming personalities that get us these guests. It's the promise of them being on a popular podcast.
Also, if like your annoying family members start bringing up some topics of conversation at Thanksgiving dinner that you don't want to be a part of, just throw out there, tap in and just say, hey, who's the best hockey player in the world? Is it Quinn Hughes? Is it William Nylander? Let's talk about that.
Or when your family inevitably starts grilling you about your finance or something like that, being like, this reminds me of the What Chaos show when they talked about this exact thing.
Matty Poitras is going to be like, Dad, stop talking about how I'm not paying my car insurance. Talk about Willie Nylander. He's nasty. Also, we'll take any best player in the world suggestions. Like if you think that somebody's the best player in the world right now, let us know. Maybe we'll take your nomination. Maybe we won't. We probably won't because we make up our own rules here. And this is our show. Get a life. But yeah, tweet them at us and let's open up the discourse. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We will see you back here on Monday. I'm assuming that we're going to have a lot to talk about because we are taking like a good amount of time off.
Wow.
It's going to be a lot of hockey left. So see you on Monday. We love you. Like, subscribe, do all those things. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy your holiday. We love you. See you back here next week.
We all silly like the mayor.